Of course, Donald Trump was the enemy number one to this. When he went to the WEF meeting after he first became elected, he said, hey, the United States is a sovereign nation. He says, look, we're always going to work with other nations, but the U.S. is sovereign, and I work on behalf of the American people. I'm always going to do what's best for the American people. That put him as enemy number one because, again, this is all about giving more power to the global governance, to this regulatory regime of the UN. And as I said, the UN acknowledges that this one that we're talking about today, SDG 16, is the most crucial of all the 17 goals, because it's essential for attaining, like I said, the other ones. So basically what it is it says by 2030, the goal is to provide legal identity for all, including birth registration. That doesn't sound so bad at first. Sure, we should have identity. I guess legal identity, that means it's government-sponsored legal identity. And birth registration. Sounds good, right? Well, it's designed to introduce a centrally controlled global system of digital identification, digital ID, in combination with other global systems, such as, some of these other ones we've talked about, such as interoperable central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. This can then be used to monitor our whereabouts, limit our freedom of movement, control our access to money, goods, and services. You see, if they can control our money and control our ID and control our movement, then they have total control. So there's two of the three. First is our ID, because we need our ID for everything. We have to use our ID to log into a website. We have to use it the way they want it. We'll get into it. Use our ID to buy food. Use our ID, like I said, to use the internet, do banking, etc. And then there's the money side. So then they'll see every time we transact. And when we have to show our ID then to get permission, then they could block permission. If we have to use the digital money, then they could block our access to the money. The third one would be health passports and movement gateways. So then we have to be able to get approved to be able to go anywhere on that way. Universal adoption of SDG 16 digital ID will enable the G3P global governance regime. This is this new body they've put together to establish a worldwide system of reward and punishment, the carrot and the stick. Humans, we're very simple. We're motivated by moving towards pleasure and away from pain. We want to move towards the carrot. We want to move away from the pain. This says if we accept the planned model of digital ID, it will ultimately enslave us in the name of sustainable development. Now, this sounds onerous. They try to make it sound good. Let's just give everybody a digital ID. Let's give everybody a birth registration. But what does that mean? Well, if you understand how the United States works, and there's U.S. corporation, and why do we have social security numbers, and how is that registered, and how does that connect with the U.S. debt, maybe you already have an idea. If you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, don't worry, we're going to break that down for you. Now, this says that the ID 2020 Alliance is a global public-private partnership. That's good old Klaus Schwab's words, right? He's pushing for this global public-private partnership that has been setting the future course of a digital identity since its founding. The objective is the ID 2020, which is this, everyone should have this digital ID. The ID 2020 Sustainable Development Objective is to create technology-driven public-private partnerships to achieve the UN's 2030 Sustainable Development Goal, providing legal identity for everyone on the planet. Specifically, ID 2020's mission aligns with the development target 16.9 of legal identity for all, including birth registration. Sounds good. It says here that if we have that, and part of the Sustainable Development Goals is that if we have that, and we have this ID 2020, or I should say, if we don't have that, then we may not be protected by law anymore. If we don't have that, not only could we not be protected by law, we might not have access to services that would be granted by the government, so we might have service denied to us. Our right to transact in the modern economy would be removed. We would be barred from participating as citizens and excluded from the so-called democracy. Now, I'll point you to, I know that sounds a little bit dystopian, and yes, it is. I'll take you to on the World Economic Forum's website. You've probably heard you'll own nothing to be happy. You've probably heard that before. Where did that come from? Well, I believe it originated from an article that was written by, I believe her name is Ida Auken, and she worked for, I want to say maybe it was in Belgium. Anyway, she's part of the WWF now, and she wrote an article, and she opened up the article by saying, the year is 2030, I have no privacy, I own nothing, and I've never been happier, or life's never been better, something to that effect. And what she was saying in this article, she goes on to kind of talk about her life and how her life works in this new 2030 year, when all these SDG goals have been met. So she's talking about her life. She has no privacy. She owns nothing, and she's never been happier. So you own nothing and be happy, right? So what is she talking about? Well, first of all, she's saying, I have no privacy. And the reason why is because part of this plan, and Klaus Schwab outlined all of this in a book that he wrote called The Fourth Industrial Revolution. I highly recommend you read the book if you want to know where these people are moving the world to. But in this world of this fourth industrial revolution, it's where basically man and machine kind of come together and merge together. Elon Musk, everybody's favorite freedom fighter at this point for opening up free speech on Twitter, is also working on this exact same goal with his Neuralink, where basically you have a computer chip in your brain. But in this book that Klaus Schwab wrote called The Fourth Industrial Revolution that they're building towards this Sustainable Development Goal, this 2030 world, is that basically all your thoughts and dreams would be read, and they would be put into this giant cloud, this giant database cloud that's managed by AI. All right, so that's all part of this. And part of the reason is because they believe centralization, central planning, government central planning, socialism, communism has always failed. And the reason why it fails is because it's no match for the market. The market is made up of individual players like you and I, millions or billions of people in this market. And there's a lot of information that's there. And central planners can never have that much information, and so it always fails. But they think that if they could just get all the information by harvesting our thoughts, our dreams, et cetera, put it into an AI, the AI could manage it, then they would have enough information to manage it better. And so what she's talking about in this article is that, again, I have no privacy because all my thoughts, all my dreams are being read and harvested into this AI. I own nothing. So she talks about in the story, which I recommend for you to go read it for yourself, she talks about how she just shows up in a room somewhere. She doesn't have a house, but she sleeps in different places. There's like a room waiting for her. She walks outside and a car just magically shows up to give her a ride. It already knows that she needs a ride and where she needs to go before she even has to order it. But the part that I want to bring attention to is in this story, she says, I feel bad for those people living outside the wall. I feel bad for those people that live outside the wall and aren't able to participate in this world that we have. That's exactly what it's saying right here. If you don't have access to this ID and you don't use the money, then you won't be protected by law. You'll have your service access will be denied. Your right to transact in the modern economy will be removed. So exactly what they're saying here is what she wrote about in that story. Are you starting to see it?